Hey PewDiePie, it's Blue Moon from the Bros Gaming channel. This video is very badly edited, I know. That it won't probably be as good as the other ones I've been making, but this is just a tutorial on anti-gank. This concept of getting death balls, and I'm actually going to try to teach the new players how to, manage to not die every time they get ganked. So, as I said, this is for new players. I forgot to mention that on my All Punishes series, that these are meant for new players, not for experienced players. It's not that there isn't tips for you, good players, but these are more meant for people that don't know that much about the game and want to get better. So, if you're a veteran, I'm not telling you to not watch the video because, well, that gives me more views, so that's good. But also, there might be some tips for you. It probably won't, because this is just a very easy going video. There probably isn't that many good tips for you guys. So new players, stay tuned. Now, this is the first point I want to bring up. Even though this is a 2v2, this is a good tip for getting 2v1. As you saw right there, I was locking on the Gladiator and not on the Lawbringer. Why did I do that? It's not because I wanted to hit the Gladiator. It was so I would hit the Lawbringer in a way that he could not really counter me. And it basically consists on me attacking the enemy behind the one that is in front of me so that he can't parry me. So the only person that can parry these attacks that I'm throwing is a Gladiator, or if my teammate or this Lawbringer goes into auto parry, which is basically the time where you're parrying, you can auto parry any move that is thrown at you in that window where you're parrying. I'm pretty sure you already know that. So the only attacks that can be parried are those, and they won't actually be able to parry me in a parry sort of way. They will just block me basically. So the whole point of this is so I give cheap damage to the Lawbringer, and as you can see right here, it's actually some pretty decent cheap damage. Now they can dodge this and they can roll from this, so it's not bulletproof, but it's hard for the enemy to understand whether or not you are attacking them or the one behind them, especially if they don't actually know there's a teammate behind them. So if they might actually try to parry you, which gives you a lot of damage, and they'll lose stamina and health for trying to parry an attack that, well, wasn't actually locked on them. And this is amazing for unblockables because it makes the unblockable unparryable to the guy that is in front of you. Let's continue.
You captured Zone C.
Another tip I can give you is what I was doing right there. Is constantly switch between your enemies. Now, this is not the best tip all the time. You shouldn't always be doing this, because if you're always doing this, the other enemy that you're not locked onto can just sit steady and parry your moves if they're, actually good players. If they're not good players, they might not actually understand whether or not you are locked on them. So if I'm constantly switching between targets, it's hard to tell whether or not I'm actually going to switch or not. And so it's a good mind game. As you can see right there, I did the dash looking at the Lawbringer, but I did my dash attack locking on the Gladiator. As you can see right there, it looked like I was going to attack the Gladiator, but then I jumped on the Lawbringer. He was expecting it because he's very low health, so he probably would just be blocking anyway. So here's a tip I want to give you. Revenge! Okay, I can't be talking about anti-gank without talking about revenge. This is going to be very brief. So in revenge, there is this dedicated time where you go into an auto parry mode. This auto parry mode starts after the first 100 milliseconds you activate revenge. So the first 100 milliseconds you activate revenge. If anyone attacks you in that area, they will interrupt this mode. But after that 100 milliseconds, you have a 700 millisecond window of auto parry. Now, this can be stopped if you switch your widget. So if as you saw right there, I stopped that auto parry by parrying. So I actually moved my guard, and so the auto parry stopped, and I actually parried. So this auto parry phase gives you a small punish. It's not the max punish. If you want to see the max punishes for all heroes, I have a series for it. I'll link it in the end of the video, the playlist to the Viking, Samurai, and Knights all punishes, and also in the description. So this version of the auto parry gives you a small window of punish. So it's not a max punish, it's actually a small punish where the enemy recovers quite quickly. On most heroes, this only gives you a heavy. For example, on the Aramusha, it will give you a heavy into the top light. So this depends on the heroes. I'm actually not going to make a video on that because it's not really important. It's just go for a heavy, basically. You can actually parry on this wind-up, on this auto parry stage, which is better because the actual parry will give you the max punish. So as you see right there, I actually get my parry max punish. So that's something very good for you to do, is to actually go for the parry. And my teammate steals my kill. Now let's go into another clip where I'm getting beamed. So right here, because I'm getting ganked, I'm trying to make the enemy focus me. I'm not actually trying to be aggressive. I'm trying to get that revenge meter to the max so I can actually start some sort of aggressive play. So as you can see right there, that guard break, you saw how much revenge that gives. So any CC moves are pretty good for you to get revenge. So this is what I wanted to show from this clip. That's the only thing. Don't go into revenge every time you see the enemy attacking, because, you know, they can just do a feint, and now you could go into revenge and you'll be in a neutral phase. So as you can see right there, I didn't actually go for it. But now that I see that the enemy will go for an attack because the Lawbringer did a long arm, he would obviously not feint that heavy. He would expect me to get hit by it, but I actually do revenge, and now he gets, well, he gets in balance. I actually didn't get anything for it, and then I actually end up getting killed anyway. But this is just another short tip that I wanted to give you. Now we're moving into team fights. So ignore the text. This guy was salty at me because I was, you know, ganking, whatever. And this is a team fight of a 2 versus 4. Even though there's a teammate right there, he dies right after. Actually, right there, he already died. So this is a 2 versus 4. So what I suggest you do in this sort of situations is to not be super aggressive. I actually was very aggressive on the Conqueror right now because he didn't know of my presence. He was locking on my teammate, so I actually get some good damage on him. And now I actually unlock off him, so I get some cheap damage. That's the first tip I gave you. Locking on a different opponent, so he would actually try to parry me. He actually didn't, but if he tried to parry me, he would have gotten hit by that heavy. Instead, he only gets the 7 damage from cheap damage. And I continue to do it. As you can see right there, another 10 damage from cheap damage. This is why I go for a block damage build on my Aramusha. And now, I actually get focused. This is the best thing you can do in some sort of team fight situation. Being a 4v4, a 3v4, 4v4s are very rare. Usually it's a 3 versus 4, a 2 versus 4, 2 versus 3. So what you want to do is get the enemy to focus on you. I don't know how much revenge these guys got. I know that Nobushi has no revenge because she had just activated it. But this Conqueror got ganked by me and that Lawbringer for a little short while. Even though the Lawbringer was attacking on him, I was attacking on him when he was locked on the Lawbringer, so he could have a lot of revenge gain. So what I suggest you do is get ganked on so that you get revenge and the enemy doesn't, so that makes your team have some sort of advantage on the fight. I miraculously dodged that move. That would have been the end of me because they would all just focus me. And now I get some parries and I get revenge right there. 2 parries, dodge the CC move, and I already have revenge, and my team is on an advantage. I have my Conqueror teammate show up, So now we are in advantage, sort of. You know, we're free, therefore, but one of us has revenge. And as you can see right here, I didn't just activate revenge right after. You know, I get my parry punish, even though I actually messed that up. And I don't just straight up go for revenge. I wait for the enemy to attack me, so I activate it. So now the enemy is, you know, afraid of me because I could activate revenge at any point and mess them up. And now I actually go aggro on them. This is not the best thing to do every time because, as I said, I don't know whether or not these guys are almost in revenge. I know the Nobushi isn't, but I don't know if the Conqueror almost has revenge. That Lawbringer came from nowhere. I don't know if he came from a fight. In this situation, he didn't, but I don't know whether or not he had revenge stocked. So you shouldn't always go aggro, but you know, you should use that revenge to your advantage and actually start being aggro, because if the enemy tries to go aggro on you, you can just do revenge on the spot. So I'm constantly switching between targets. So as you can see right there, the Conqueror got revenge. So if I went too aggro on him, he could have just done revenge on me. So now that I see that the Lawbringer is doing a light on me, I actually do revenge, so he gets unbalanced. If it was a heavy, I probably wouldn't do it unless I saw that the heavy wasn't feintable, like if the enemy was already in the last frames of the heavy. But because it's a light, I just do revenge because it's guaranteed for him to just go through with that light. And so I go into my auto parry, he gets unbalanced, and I get my small punish from it. And now I lock on the Nobushi, so he gets cheap damage. And I do a soft feint, locking on the Nobushi and then switching to him, so he does not expect me to actually fall through with it. And now, well, I just proceed to meme him. And that's about it. I then kill the Nobushi. Okay, I can show it. And yeah, I killed the Nobushi. And I think that's about it. There's not really much to tell you. The other thing I suggest is when you run out of revenge, go back into that defensive turtle playstyle and don't go aggro again. Try to get revenge again, maybe even roll or run away. The best thing you can do in any type of anti-gank situation is to just back up to your team. Remember that whatever revenge is, it's on revenge is only on team game modes. That's because they're team game modes, so you should be playing as a team. So if the enemy is ganking you, the only reason why there's revenge is that so you don't get, you know, unfair fights. So every time you get revenge, the best thing you can do is try to run away and group up with your team. But if you're playing a slow character, like for example Shigoki, Highlander, or Lawbringer, who don't really have any sort of, you know, fast mobility to get away from the enemy, you're actually forced to stay being ganked. So the best thing you can do is run away. But if there's no other way for you to get away from that gank fight, try to get revenge. If your revenge runs out, try to get revenge again. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's not very edited or anything. This is just a short video because I haven't really got that much time this week and this weekend. You can expect the Aramusha video this week. I don't know when. I'm going to be pretty busy. If you want me to make a Warden or a Valkyrie rework tutorial or video, suggest it. I'm not really planning on it, but if you want me to, I can make it. I'm having a blast playing Warden. He's so fun. He or she. I actually have two female Warden loadouts. I actually really like the new Warden. It's really fun. So if you want me, I can make a video. I'm not planning on it though. So hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.